What else is in the box? Let's see. What is up? Welcome to Cutting Up. I am your host Mac, and I want to thank you for checking out this content. And looking kind of rough. Whenever I look like I'm cosplaying as Andrew Tate in his jailhouse staycation, there can only be two things. It's either a black dad shave video or it's time to do another review. In this case, I have to thank Beardscape for sending out yet another product for another honest review. Yes, they did pay for the device to be sent out to me, but they didn't send me any script trying to coerce me to make the review positive. They believe in their product enough to put it into honest reviews. So let's do that. This is a special edition of the Beardscape V2. This is the limited edition Frost bundle. I've got the Beardscape Beard and Body V2 limited edition Frost. I've got the Beardscape sleeve in white, and they were nice enough to send out one of their zero blades for review. I've had a couple of requests for zero blades, so yeah, starting how I always start. The picture on the front of the box gives you a basic idea of how it looks, but this is an illustration and it's not exactly life size, so it's kind of one of those things that you're still gonna have to open it up to get an idea of what this looks like. But yeah, taking a quick trip around the box, it does have a fairly high-end look. They're not super expensive, we're not talking 300 plus, but these are, I would say, probably a mid-grade as far as pricing wise. But the box still has a high-end appeal, and it looks like it is pretty easy once you get the plastic off to open with human hands. There is some good information on the box that you can find without having to read the manual. For example, there are 5 speeds. The quick charge down here is good information that usually you have to go digging through the manual to find out. This has a full charge in 3 hours, and I think the other side that tells you about the lithium-ion battery, this one is actually a lithium-ion battery, will say that the runtime is 4 hours. So 3 hours to charge, 4 hours of runtime, as well as the screen does give you an indicator of exactly where you are in the battery life. The ceramic blade claim, from what I have researched, the low friction ceramic blades will also be stronger and more durable than the stainless steel alternatives. Lastly, they have a dial system that goes from 1 to 1.9 on just the blade that comes installed on the device. And then because of the guards, I love this on there. I have to give them extra points. Right here on the box, they tell you exactly what's included as far as the guards. You have 1mm, 2mm, 3mm, 6mm, 9, 12, 15, and 18 with clip-on guards. Right away, as you open up the box, another good feature, they give you some quick instructions about not rinsing this. So this is going to be a dry shaver, even though this is a beard and body trimmer. Then it tells you about a little bit of information about how to put on oil, and then of course they have the dummy proof questions, comments, hotline number, as well as support by email. It's time to see what's inside the box. Very clean as you open it up, fairly small literature, and it's a pamphlet. It's not that fold out crap. They have the registration. This is also pristine. I'm gonna try to give you a good look at this. This is a special touch by Brio and Beardscape. It gives you an equivalent of what they are against Wall, Osher, and the Addis brand. I'm always mispronouncing that one. But if you're used to using those products, it'll tell you what the equivalent of what that blade's millimeter is. You would think that the guards and the millimeters saying 1mm would be the same. They're not, because they know that is a reality. They have this, and it's a hard card. I would still probably take a picture of, but realistically you can keep in the box. There is a nice little bit of weight to it. Not heavy on the hand, but it just feels more high-end. But I'll show you again what you see on the box versus what you actually get. This actually looks more like what's up here in the corner is a representation of the design on the actual Beardscape. The box is one of those hard cardboard boxes that look like you can keep it around. There's even a spongy material at the top, so it definitely is something that if you wanted to keep, you could keep the Beardscape in. Here's just the stand. What it looks like is you can plug the charger directly into the device itself, but there's also the stand here that has the same plug-in system. Nice gold tip. You can see it against my hand. It probably goes from palm to fingertip. We got the charger, and thank you, Brio. We can wrap this up right now. We're already ready to say that you've made the cut, because first of all, special touch. That's a real size bottle of oil, but here is what I'm giving them extra points for. They actually included the damn power brick. This is how you do it, people. To all the competitors, yes, give me the charger and make it USB, that's great, but give me this as well. So chef's kiss, special points to them for doing that. I believe that this is just going to be the brush and some guards. What they do with this is a unique system, and they indicate up and down which sides you're on. So for example, this is 4 and 5. Now slipping it on initially takes a little getting used to because it's a clip system, but it does clip on very snug. So for a lot of people that are going to be looking at this, what's going to be really important is going to be the guards. I have unfortunately a reason to kind of take down some of the beard, so my loss is your gain. Let's turn it on for the first time. So there is a travel lock. You will have to hold it down for about 3 seconds to turn it on. I do actually like that because that means that you don't have accidental presses to turn it off. Let's listen to this for the first time. And I have to say, this one is very quiet. I want to see how much power I'm going to get out of this, because this is more quiet than probably even an electric toothbrush. They boast it and they actually deliver on how quiet that is. The gripping on this is done well. Weirdly, the design on this at Epcot, they have Spaceship Earth. It kind of looks like that, but you don't feel any of that on the actual designing. There is some gripping here just for you to be able to hold it, and it feels like it won't slip. There is also some gripping on the side. It's not overly aggressive, but it's enough to get a nice grip on it and hold it steady. Really quickly going over the display, it is a very nice LED in color. Tells you specifically what number of power you're on. There is the plus and minus tactile buttons. It will also tell you specifically how many minutes of runtime you have, down to the minute. It will all depend on what you're running on. Let's see, when we turn it up, still have 180 minutes at that, and this is on the highest setting, 7,000 RPMs. Little bit closer to a trimmer that you would be used to, but still very quiet. But let's not forget the other things they were able to send out to me. So real quick, to protect it, there is the white frost. It doesn't have any holes for you to be able to charge it while it's covered like that. So keep that in mind. Maybe they could have did the cutout for you to be able to charge it and have it still in the cover case, but nitpicking at that point. So what did I find out reading this? Well, they get into some details about not only giving you illustrations of what is coming in the box specifically, they get into some information about charging the device. One of the safety tips that they say is after you've charged it, to plug it out. So that might be something to consider. Most times a lot of people like to plug things in and leave them. Their suggestion is once it reaches full charge to remove it from the charger. They do get into some illustrations on the display and also some information about the runtime. It has 4 hours of runtime, and it does show in the manual that every hour it is going to prompt you to clean and oil the blade. It explains the travel lock, and then it gives you the runtime. Let's see how hard it is to change out the blade on this. Very simple, snaps right out. And we are going to also see the zero blade for the first time. Again, sturdy enough box to keep this around. Nice little branding on there for the zero blade. Very nice touch. So what they did here, they just did this where you scan this and you can get a quick tutorial. Exceptional. There is some information on the back before you take the blade off. Make sure that the micro adjusting lever is set all the way down to 1.9. And there's the display for the zero blade. We will try that out in a sec, but let's see what this can do with just the regular blade. So let's get to it. Have it on the lowest setting. Let's see how that cuts first. So that's 1.9. I'm gonna bump it up a little bit and see if we can get a little closer cut than that. That seemed to make a big difference actually. We're doing 1 millimeter. I'm gonna go up to 6,000. It doesn't feel like it's struggling on the lower end, but the glide is different. You will definitely see a change there. Going all the way up to 7. Now I do want to save some of this to do with the zero blade. I have to say that the higher the RPMs, the more smoothly it goes. On the highest setting, where I'm only getting like 48 minutes, of course it was like butter. But I think around the 6,000 for me and my hair texture, I still get a good glide and I get a decent amount of time. It's not to say that I couldn't have done the 5,000, but 6,000 for me RPM wise is a better one, and it's still fairly quiet. Before we put on one of the guards, I do want to see what the zero blade is about. So quickly, let's try out the zero blade. I am kind of excited to see what this will do. I'm gonna do it on an area that hasn't been touched as well as an area that's already been gone over. Now the zero blade is significantly louder, still not crazy. Going into an area that hasn't been done yet. I gotta say, it's a mixed bag. I think the performance on it is better. It does clean up very well, but then that quiet stuff goes out the door. Then you're back to how a regular trimmer sounds. Real quick, let's get out the duck lips. I gotta say, the zero blade does make a significant difference. On my previous time using the Brio Beardscape, I would say that the trimmer was decent, passable. This I can say I can confidently do line work with. I see a significant difference with the zero blade versus the regular blade. Trimming wise, I don't know if I really need it, especially on the 1mm setting. Just wanted to see how sharp the lines would come out. They're coming out pretty sharp. I am planning on, unfortunately, having to take off all the beard. Don't want you to get distracted by the dryness of my skin. Night and day difference. On the neck, it's not that noticeable, but you can see that I have some regrowth, and if you look at that in comparison to what I've trimmed with the zero blade, it's almost the difference that you notice when using a fixed blade. I have to say this is a very different experience. Between the features and all the other things, I think I've almost seen enough, but I did promise putting on a guard. Let's switch it back to the other blade real quick. So, quick tip, always start up a little higher than you need. You can always come down on a millimeter on the guard if it's too high, but if you already cut too low, you gotta wait for it to grow back. I'm gonna skip actually 3 and go down to the 2 and 1 and see what that is. First, we're gonna do 2. Quick spin around to get to 2 and 1. A little weary on the mustache as it always comes down a little too low. I'm gonna bump it back up to a 3 and see if I can take down some of it. Switching it down to a 2. And yeah, I think I've seen enough. So what do I think of the Frost bundle? I have to say the zero blade is a game changer. First, let's get the negatives out of the way. This is nitpicking, but when you are using this, the slider does tend to collect some hair in there. The quietness of the ceramic blade kind of goes out the window when you're using the zero blade. But again, if that's not all that important to you, you're not trying to, I don't know, get a lineup in a library or something, if libraries still exist where you are, that's not gonna be all that important to you. Now you wanna be careful with the zero blade. I think I did get a little too reckless, and you can definitely do some damage if you're working that blade in against the skin. As far as the results, how low I'm able to get it, and the line work that I'm able to achieve with it, I'm impressed. And the display also telling you when to oil and clean the device is a nice touch. So by itself, without switching out the blade, you are able to trim here, and the guard system is very good if you're just trying to neat up a beard. I can imagine it on the body being decent enough. You still are gonna really want to get careful in the lower regions. Definitely wouldn't go with the zero blade anywhere below the waist, but this with the original blade on this is a decent trimmer. It is not going to be exceptional, but if you do switch this out, which you can switch them out very quickly, it becomes a total game changer. Yes, the noise is going to get a little louder with this, but this I can actually achieve line work with, even though it's an extra added accessory. This makes this device perform on so much better, which is important because all the features that come on this, the screen, the travel lock, the different things they did with the guard system, it just improves the whole experience on the device. So the synergistic effect between these two is that I'm gonna have to say this does make the cut, is worth a purchase. I am interested in hearing what you guys think. As always, if you are interested on getting your hands on this or any Brio products, check my links below, and of course you can check for any added bonus discounts using my link. They tend to change from time to time, so just take a look and see what they have available now. I am interested in hearing what your experience is with this device, and especially with the zero blade. Is it a game changer for you? Because it is a game changer for me. Until the next time we're cutting up, stay sharp and stay warm, because it's getting frosty out there. And I'll see you in the next one.